I'm Greg Jones, and this is The Capital Machine, where execution friction becomes strategic growth.
All right. Today we are here with Garret with You Attest, and thank you for coming and talking to me and my audience. And if it's all good with you, I'd like to jump in and get started on the questions.
Let's do it, Greg.
All right. Sounds good. So tell me a little bit about your background. What drew you to the field of identity and cybersecurity? And give me just kind of a snapshot of what You Attest is.
You know, that's a great question. But after 30 years, I don't know. I'm just an identity guy. And that's how it is in cyber, right? You know, so as a programmer, you know, did the whole UT Austin thing, became a programmer, great community to learn and do all that. And then I just happened to get an SC job, sales engineer job, at a wonderful company. You know, I'm very fortunate to have it as my first, like SE job, marketing, whatever. It was over at a company called Security Dynamics, which became RSA.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's a great company.
yeah, it really are. It really is in so many ways, products and people and just how they, they treat the industry and obviously the consortium, the convention. So it really got me into security and being a programmer. They put me into the more advanced group that, was also doing the X509 certificate installs. And so I just became an identity guy. And then every job after that, and now I am, and I got 15 patents in this stuff. So that's what I
That's
know.
awesome.
Is
Yeah.
identity, single sign-on, two-factor, product integration, now identity governance. So I would
Right.
say it all started by, a little serendipity, but once you get started, that's what you do.
Yeah. So what inspired you to start You Attest?
Oh, it started. I was building identity models, zero trust identity models at Cylance, which was an amazing company that,
Oh, yeah. I'm
yeah,
well familiar with Cylance.
yeah, they did a really good job of breaking AI into the mainstream, and they
Right.
embraced it in a brilliant way. And they had I want to say Skunkworks. The founder is very aggressive about investing in technology in new fronts because they had AI to help detect malware,
Right.
and there was like nine of us, nine different projects, and mine was the only one who survived. I did a zero trust based on using the agent, the silence agent, to identify the user in real time with parameters and with knowledge of how the user, both types and physical, but also in behavior. And that was the first
Right.
zero trace product. Remember, I showed it to Dr. Chase. So it was, things. So that got me into that real one. Now, what had happened though is they were bought, and that's allowed to happen. Everyone likes that,
Yeah.
right? And then they did some change of direction. And so I'm like,
Right.
okay, I can, go that way or I can, go on my own. I was like, there was a space that I saw and others were telling me because I came before Cylance, I had started the world's first two-factor identity provider, which was a company called
Right.
SecureAuth. And then after I left, then a bunch of my SCs left too and went over to wonderful companies like Okta. And
Right.
they reached out to me, those SCs, and said, "Hey, Garret, no one's simplified the identity governance space. And identity
Right.
governance is a whole meal in itself."
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's ever changing,
Right.
you know.
And so that's
So
what I did. I built a product that simplified the attestation, not the
right.
delivery of who has who, but the acceptance and the signing off that yes, Bob should have access to that app that have access to PHI. Jane should have access to that app or in that group that has access to
Right.
PII.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's big. Big part of the security model.
Yes.
So what specific challenges did you have early on with review and compliance that you were trying to solve?
I, More than I would have fathomed in this regard. I completely understood the workflow, not because I'm brilliant, but because what I did is I took people from my past lives and had them talk and took copious notes. And what I mean is I took
Right.
an auditor and then a CISO, and I said, auditor, what are you asking? CISO, what are you responding? Auditor, that whole thing. So I understood the workflow, and then got it programmed and did tests and did what you should do. Basically iterations, showed the iterations to people. Got feedback. Okay,
Right.
there's something that's kind of relevant. One thing, we don't always have access to, well, I didn't have access to, was external auditors. Okay.
Right.
And so it took a while of literally my customers, because they said, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is solving the workflow problem. It's like, well, yeah, that's what I got in the
Right.
morning to do, is solve that manual workflow problem of people
Right.
creating spreadsheets and then going back. But then it's the external auditor, and they have a concept, and very important to them. It's called accuracy and completeness. And
Hmm.
they have what they define as accuracy, completeness. And then when you give them a new product, they're like, okay, we have to, determine whether that's accurate completeness. I'm like, hold it. You were doing screen captures before. Not
Right.
kidding, literally screen captures in
Uh-huh.
emails. And you're saying my automated workflow where I can show you, the time that I grabbed the information from the store, put it in the API, and then I
Right.
timestamp when the people created the attestation and timestamped when people certified. That's not accuracy and
Yeah.
completeness. But believe
Right.
it or not, I don't get to decide that. My customer doesn't get to decide that.
Right.
The external auditors do. So that did take some time.
Yeah. 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 So early on with you, Attest, what were some of your biggest obstacles that you faced?
Of course, it is getting known, but there was I hit the ground running because at that time, my first integration, they didn't have any identity governance. Okta didn't.
Right.
Okay, and since they have developed, and I'm still getting Okta customers because I have a lot of bells and whistles and all that, and the customers who want more. But by that time, it was first of all, product, getting the word out there, and then the wrestling, as I described with the external
Right.
auditors, to get to know set my methodology.
Right. Right. Now, what other struggles did you have as far as customer acquisition? Since it was kind of a blue ocean and you're kind of creating and forging the way, how did you educate or acquire customers in those early stages?
It really took me and marketing teams to understand who our audience was. Because I had been, by that time, I had been a IT security guy working in a company called RSA, as I said, and Integrity, which got
Right.
bought out, CA, Cisco, IBM, had created my own company called SecureAuth, right? So I kind of knew the security field. Okay, it's not the same as the risk and compliance field. Those are different people with different parameters and are addressed and found in different ways. Okay, so that
Right.
that was a challenge. How do I discover and talk to this new group? Okay, and that was a challenge that first what I was doing is just going through the vendors that I had integrated with and said, hey, I do the governance piece which you don't. Just bring me the deals and blah blah blah.
Right.
And that
Right.
worked. But when some of them had brought their own tools, I had to figure out the space of governance and compliance. How do they work? How do they meet up, right? What do people who are in governance compliance, what
Right.
association are they in? What do they watch? What do they care about?
Right. 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 So tell us about some of those early wins that you had. Does one stand out to you or major milestone
Yeah,
early in as you
there
were
was a
breaking
big
into the
company here
field?
in LA, and out of respect, they don't want me saying their name, so I won't. But it came on early, and the people there really knew, and that's one thing that I learned early is how good, and this doesn't sound like the opposite people say, no, how good at governance the actual people who were assigned risk and compliance were.
Right.
They knew the controls. They can, itemize
Right.
them right out. Well, we're lacking a PRA05. We're lacking a PRA04. How does your product with it? So I had to get up to speed right away in
Right.
mapping this to them. And then they understood from their dialogue with the external auditors what the workflow had to be and what was lacking in the
Right.
other products. So that's what I did. I rebuilt the workflow. Now, one of the big wins was, of course, was winning the big name and making it to work. And then they liked the workflow so much, no good deed goes unpunished. They put amazing amount of capacity on it and toppled my product.
Right.
you know, and it just did. It just ground it
Yeah.
to a halt. And I was like, all right, guys.
Right.
So we can't just, we can throw more servers at it, which we did, of course, to get through it. But it was a complete rewrite of the code to help
Yeah.
scale, which, it's a better product then. But, I'm actually 25 years old and used to have a full head of hair. So, yeah.
Right. Right. Now, from those early days of UAttest to now in 2025, has your core mission changed at all, or is it
It
the
kind of
same? Is
has.
it just the technology
No,
evolving? Or
it is because we were very focused on a few vendors. We're very
right.
focused on the attestation concerns of a few vendors like Okta and some of the others. Okay.
Right.
Now we have generalized. We say in our website and we say every
Hmm.
day, and I'm going to a show tonight and I'll be saying we can audit any identity resource. And we do.
That's
We
awesome.
do. But
Yeah.
there's also a much bigger change because I did that first to all of them. And then where I see the product being used and I see the hockey group coming in is not just selling it to wonderful big companies that do 1 year licenses or multiple year licenses, but to the service providers, the
Right.
service providers who have to become, and I is a phrase I took from someone else, but I love him. He's an advisor to it, an adult in a room, right?
Hmm.
That hey, company, you're in healthcare. Of course, I got you a working IM, and you needed two-factor for your admin accounts. But by the way, we're including in your license that you have to do access reviews because they remove your access privileges, your ghost
Right.
orphan accounts, and oh, by the way, if you don't do it, you're out of compliance. So
Right.
what I'm doing is now partnering and working extensively with service providers. And it's important I don't just say managed service because the people just see the MSPs. It's
Right.
really the right fit for this is the consultants and the MSSPs who are working with the MSPs because they offer
Right.
a bundle stuff and we're one of
Right.
those
Right.
products that they bundle.
Right. Yeah. That gets into my next question: is what organizations best fit your platform and what you have to offer?
Well, straight up the end users, healthcare, finance, insurance, because
Right.
you got your HIPAA high trust in healthcare. For finance, you got your NCUA, you got your FFIC, you
Right.
got your GLB. Okay, in insurance, every state NAIC. You have to quantify who has access, and let's go through this, who has access to healthcare, PHI, personal healthcare information for your financial, who has access to your PII, personal identifiable information,
Right.
and now defense in a good way says you have to
Right.
quantify who has access to your controlled unclassified information, CUI. So all of those industries are customers and all of them use our product to help meet those regulations in a good way and also become more
Right.
secure.
So, in the realm and domain of identity governance, what makes UAttest stand out from your competitors?
Time to delivery, time to
Yeah.
value. That's what I always try to do with the products that I create. Time to value. Once was asked, it was one of these podium things, Garrett, how do you come up with products? I go, I don't know. I look at the most successful companies in this industry, and everyone's like, oh, you mean Google? You mean Facebook? You mean? I go, no. I mean the SIs. They're the
Yeah.
most profitable industries in our industry. Then I look at what they do and I say, well, how can I automate that? Okay, because they're very intelligent. They
Right.
go and they
Right.
they they know IT in a way that, and I love IT guys, and I can walk out with the best of them. I just
Right.
install
Right.
my son's Ubuntu box because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
going to local
Yeah.
college
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's not what the SIs do. The
Right.
SIs understand the business need and the business functionality of IT in a
Right.
really
Right.
good way. And what I
In
do
an
is say,
applied
okay,
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. Yeah, in an
Yeah.
applied way. And then what I do is, well, if they're doing that and they're charging for that, then I should
Right.
do that. Then that's what I can do. Obviously, there's a market, and then what I need to do is quantify that into a product. And my
Right.
brain is just wired to understand workflow and then improve it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's an important skill these days.
Yeah.
So especially with so many moving parts and so much changing so quickly, you know, it's good to come in and help organizations succeed at that. What is you attest toughest challenges these days?
Oh, I would still say getting the word out and differentiating and not
Right.
and making sure, even though I have all these customers and they use this and they got the accuracy, completeness, the industry of governance is different than the industry of security.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
Right.
that took me a little while to get through. It
Right.
operates at a different pace. I'm not saying slower, just more methodical, right? Because the people
Hmm.
are ludicrously intelligent, and
Right.
they just have to be convinced with more evidence. I know people
Right.
would say in the security world, Garrett, we just don't throw products in the mix. Yeah, you do. So it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
I've been part of
Everybody
it for
does.
30 years. Yeah, they do. They
Hmm.
just throw
Yeah.
products in the mix and, well, that looks kind of cool. That one goes green. That one's, okay. It just does. Okay. And yeah, the last couple of years have been hard, but governance does not. Governance does
Right.
not. Governance says, okay, I need to really, really see the value of this and really see it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're working with the service providers who are ready, have established
Right.
that they're the adult in the room. And I'm saying,
Right.
hey, by the way, my widget, you can do 10 of those when do one of them annually.
Yeah. That's huge. What's a big win that you guys have had recently?
Uh,
Either an implementation or technology or customer or whatever.
yeah, yeah. The big win is what's helping us win is I've always been a zero trust guy. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yep.
I believe in it. It makes complete sense. Even though I was on a webinar with someone who's goes way back and said, "Well, identity isn't necessarily part of zero trust," and I was like, I can't even understand that. It's like
Right.
calories is not
How
a
is that
part of
possible?
food, right?
Right.
It is
Right.
zero trust is the requantification of the trust of the identity to the
Right.
resource at every step of the way. And then what
Right.
I've done is come up with the first identity trust score based on governance. You say, no, that's
Right.
not true. I go, yeah, well, the hell with Garrett, ask the US Patent Office. Okay.
Right.
And what I say is we got all these brilliant people doing governance and they're doing the work. And they're those, and guess what we've never done? We have never given a score to what they've done and pass it on into the security world, right?
Right.
So what I did is said is hold it. I do all the quantifications, what do the group permissions look like? Give it a, machine learning score. Then two, are there any segregation of duty violations? That would reduce your score. And then, oh, by the
Right.
way, when's the last time anyone's looked at this service account or user account, right?
Right.
Not quantified.
Right.
And then I built that into a product, and it's called the
Yeah.
UATest Identity Trust Score, and you look it up, and got a patent on it, got it implemented, and got customers using it, and that's
That's huge.
been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what big goals do you have for the next 12 to 18 months for you attest?
really want to break into the service community. I really see
And what does that look
myself,
like?
yeah. So that is working with the consulting agencies,
Right.
and more looks
Hmm.
like the consultants that are working
Right.
with the MSPs. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yes, the top, 10 MSPs, they've got all the service guys they need. Most MSPs today really don't, and
Right.
they don't have the time to analyze products. They're working with consultants who the ones that I'm working with now are straight out Garrett. I bundle, and that's what they say.
Right.
The consultant,
Yeah.
I bundle. I like your, access review because I can get it. I can do any resource. I can do it, and I bundle it with
Right.
two-factor. And this is the IAM I've standardized, and this is the application
Yeah.
firewall I use. And I say, this is what we're going to do. And
Yeah.
that's the messaging that I'm glomming
I,
onto and the people that I'm working with. I'm meet two of them in a couple of hours and drive up to LA.
yeah, I think that's a good approach. That's going to really compound, I think, one, your messaging and two, your delivery. I
Yeah,
think that's
it
phenomenal.
really does. It really does
Yeah,
because we can go wonky, right? I can talk
yeah,
controls, I can talk like that. That's not what the
right,
MSPs and a lot of customers need. They just need to
right,
know, okay, great, you put this package together, it meets all the controls relevant to my FFIC and my NASC, requirements. Good. I have to go make money. Thank you for your time.
right, right. Now, how do you see emerging technologies like AI affecting both your business and identity
I
governance?
think it's great. I mean, one, I worked it into the product already, and two, I think it equalizes the playing field. I really do.
Right,
Because
right,
workflow is expensive. AI's got there's amazing workflow products. I mean,
right.
that was the first thing it looks like the AI guys did. They said, "Oh, we can do workflow crap." You know what I mean? Yeah, there was first ML, then the LLMs help us, write out blogs, but then workflow
Hmm.
products. Okay, and I
Right,
think
right.
what that's really going to do is yes, help in the workflow to user access view, but that's still pretty much a code. But the integrations into all the resources.
Right, right, right.
And that's
Yeah.
been a really that's been I talk about, using my own evidence. That's been one of the big SI
Uh,
spaces, right?
right,
So now companies like mine can meet the challenge of these integrations in a rapid time and deliver the functionality that enterprises need in a reasonable cost.
right, right. Now, are you adopting AI internally, just from like a business function
Oh yeah.
perspective?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
done. Yes, I
yeah,
am active participant in AI
yeah.
consortiums that do
Good.
great reviews, and I should give a shout out, like Peter Schwacker's
Yeah, yeah,
Vibe channel on Tuesdays does a
yeah,
really
yeah,
good job of talking, and then I work with the guys and I bring it back to my guys who are like, "Whoa, that's scary." I go, "No, it's not. Get used to it."
yeah,
It's
yeah.
oh, and to be trust, there's always
It's a tool. It's a
yeah,
tool like a
it,
hammer.
it's a
It's
tool, and there's and
yeah.
I myself spend probably a third of my day talking to these damn things,
Right.
and
Same. Yeah.
I've got a rant on people who are think try to kill AI. Oh, it's hallucinations. I believe hallucinations are bad prompt engineering. You
Yeah.
told
Yeah.
told the LLM what you wanted to hear, and then you're mad at
Right.
it because it told you
Yeah.
told it what you wanted to hear.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think just like a human, sometimes you have to circle back with the LLM and kind of reframe the original problem again, just to kind of keep it in the lane, the right lanes in the road
It's
that you
not
want to
like
keep it
we
in.
don't have access to five of them at our fingertips. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
feed, whatever Gemini back into, Grok and back into
yeah, yeah.
Copilot or whatever.
Right, right. Yeah. Now, what advice would you give to other founders that are starting off in a heavy compliance industry or space?
Is is first of all, do you come from compliance? And I didn't. Okay,
Right,
and if you did, well, God bless you. Then you're a little more advanced.
right,
If you don't, make sure you network yourself in that. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
things called ISSA and ISACA. They're pretty good, right?
Right, right,
Wouldn't hurt, and I know that's not a very hip in 2025. Wouldn't hurt to get a compliance certificate. I got my CGIT.
right,
And what it does is it's not so much that anyone cares, because I mean I don't know if they do or not, but it helps you understand the dialogue. You
right,
know, what are the, how are we all talking to each other? And like I just had to
right,
get
right,
off the phone with a marketing company. They didn't know governance at all. I'm like, hold it. Before we continue with the page, I got to explain to you what a control is. I got to
right,
understand, what the certification is, what a guidance is,
right,
right? And that's
right.
how this page needs to be written, right? And
Hmm.
then, understand things like KPIs and KRIs and then
Right,
tricks
right.
that the
Yeah,
industry uses, because that's what your audience needs. They're
yeah,
not,
absolutely.
they
Yeah,
have very quantified objectives at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the quarter. And it's
yeah,
not to see, the green light go green. It's not, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's so If you don't understand the objectives of your risk officers, then how can you build a product for them?
Right. Yeah. Well, Garrett, that's all the questions I have. Where can listeners hear more about you and follow you attest and what your company's doing?
Uatest.com. I'm Garret Grajek. I think there's only one of them out there. So I'm on LinkedIn. There you go. That's what I remember
Yeah.
like 30 years ago. I was like, I
Yeah.
always hate spelling my name. And a guy was like, dude, it's the internet. It's great. You want to have a different name,
It's
right?
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be
there you
unique.
go.
That's right.
There's probably my ones.
There's 5 million of them out there.
Right. The only one, Garret Grajek. There you go. So,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, my wife wouldn't let me name the son that, so there's only one. So, or
Good.
just write me at CEO@uatest.com.
Awesome. All right, Garrett. Well, thank you very much for your time. And look forward to seeing what's on the horizon for you and UAttest.
Thanks. That was fun.
I'm Greg Jones. Thanks for joining The Capital Machine. Full transcripts and frameworks at thecapitalmachine.com. For direct access, gregory.jonesaprimsec.com. See you next week.